Hey, tribe. What's up, tribe? So today we are just going to have a relaxing conversation and we're going to talk about my mom. I said the other day I was going to talk about that a little bit, and we kind of changed the course that our channel was going, and so we clipped off from everything that was in our past and we're moving forward. So I just kind of want to lay this video down at the beginning of the week because I want to set the foundation. Not the foundation, this isn't the foundation setter, but I kind of want to close this story so it'll make sense later for other stories. My daughter is asleep. She's playing with the binky, well, was. So I might have to come in and out of the picture here, but you won't know because I'll edit it out. So anyways, I'm going to talk about my mom a little bit. My mom did die August 31st of 2018, for those of you that don't follow me on social media. And if you're not a really close friend of mine, then you really don't know much or anything about my mom. So my mom did die this past year. She was in a nursing home for 5 years. Prior to that, I have not heard my mom speak in 8 years. And yeah, so the earliest memory, well, let me just say this to make sense, because this is the second time I've recorded this and I find myself not saying what's wrong with my mom. And I think it has a lot to do with, as a kid, we never talked about what was wrong with my mom. And so it's just easy for me to kind of like brush it under the rug, talk about these issues, but not address these issues. So my mom actually died from natural causes. She did not have pneumonia. There was nothing known that she had when she passed away. So that is unknown. But what she had to cause her to get to the place where she passed away was a disease called Huntington's disease. It is a brain disease. I will not get into the, I will not get into the Huntington's disease facts. You can easily Google that if you wish to. My whole take on that is truth trumps facts, and the only thing true is the word of God. So regardless of the name of a disease, regardless of what you have, from a hangnail to cancer to a brain disease, God still trumps that, and God is still on the throne. So regardless of the name, the facts don't matter because God is truth, and truth trumps facts. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So my earliest memory of my mom was in Florida. I was born in Florida, and I just remember not a lot. I just have one story from that time growing up, and I don't even know how old I was. I just was old enough to sit in the back of a bicycle, and my mom was feeding some geese, and I just remember them attacking us. My mom was laughing hysterically. She thought it was so funny, and I just thought she was crazy. My mom growing up was always a very strong-willed person. She could do, you know, everything on her own. Up until she physically couldn't do anything, she was still trying to do everything. So cleaning, I remember my mom cleaning when she could hardly walk down the steps. I remember my mom just had a very strong personality. She never complained. Not one time, I swear to you, she never complained. I know that seems so odd, because everybody complains about everything, but my mom literally never complained. I cannot stress that enough, how much my mom never complained. Sorry. Yep, so then we moved to Missouri. We live 3 hours away from family, and I don't really remember my mom going to church until I was older. Until I was like over 12 years old. I don't really remember us ever going to church. If we did, I don't remember it. But I don't have that many memories from my childhood. I don't have that many memories from under 12, really. I have a few, but they're not from us going to church. I really remember us going to church when I was older than 12 years old. I don't know if we did. So, my dad didn't go to church with us growing up. It was just me, my mom, and my sister. So yeah, we went to Assemblies of God church growing up. I don't remember my mom praying in tongues. I do remember everybody else in the congregation praying in tongues. It was a wild bunch. I remember my mom's personality always sarcastic and funny and like the life of the party. Her friends from high school said she was like that as a teenager. My dad said he thought that the disease is what made her more like that, because he said she wasn't like that when they first got together. So I don't know if like she just wasn't like putting herself out there with him, and you know what I mean? Because like all the stories from my childhood, I just remember everybody talking about my mom being really funny. You know, she like waxed her car one time with her best friend, Julie. I love Julie, she's so sweet. They left the wax on. So, I mean, that's just my mom's personality, just like super ditzy. She was a blonde, she was 4'11" and only like 87 pounds. So my mom was just naturally ditzy. Yeah, that's just how she was. That's just how I remember. I was 16 years old and my mom lost her license. I remember she got in a bunch of car accidents like in 1 week, like 7 car accidents in 1 week. And my dad felt like, okay, we have to take your license away. This isn't healthy. Like something worse could happen. So I just remember driving my mom to a lot of places growing up, you know, happy hour. She did volunteer her time at a local church's, the Assembly of God she went to. She worked in their thrift store. It was like in a basement, and I do remember her doing that for a little while. Growing up, I don't remember my mom working except for babysitting. She worked at a lot of daycares when we moved to Missouri. I just remember her working in childcare, after school programs, and then when we were older, I don't recall her ever doing that. I remember her watching TV all the time. She had a high sweet tooth, which that's normal with HD patients, is eating a lot of sweets. She just would watch I Love Lucy, and I think it was called Nash, or I don't know the name of it. I never really watched TV. I'm just not naturally a TV watcher. So let me check my notes. I did take notes. I am a note taker. Oh, I remember us always getting pulled over, and they would like give her breathalyzers growing up, and I'd be like, why do they think something's wrong with my mom? Like, that is crazy, you know? I never grasped it. We never talked about anything was wrong with my mom. I never grew up thinking anything was wrong with my mom. I just thought, this is how my mom is, your mom's like that, and my mom's like this. Like, I just never thought anything was actually wrong with my mom. So that's kind of a weird perspective, not knowing anything. Like, we just never talked about it as a family. My mom and dad actually never even talked about it together. My mom said if she had it, she didn't even want to know about it. So they just didn't talk about it. There was nothing to talk about, which is really crazy to me. Prior to my mom going to the nursing home, I remember my dad started working at home, and we just needed more help. We got an in-home nurse, and it just wasn't enough. I remember my mom's lips turning blue quite a bit, and we were like, seems like we were taking her to the hospital a lot more often. And so it progressed from, I just recall her when I was 12 years old. I remember it just progressing my whole entire life. I never really had a mom figure. You know, like, people can like hang out with their mom, talk to their mom, go shopping. A lot of people take that for granted when you don't have that in your life. I didn't grow up with like pregnancy advice or boy advice or any advice. My dad literally was MIA, always gone, working. I literally remember my dad being home on the weekends. He'd be gone on Monday, out of town, would see him maybe Friday, Saturday, and weekends I wasn't even home. So like, I literally, basically my emotions from growing up, watching my mom the way she was. My sister and my mom always seemed to be like a team, and so I was always kind of left out, and so I just wasn't home. I just filled my time at my friends' houses. I just stayed gone because the reality of my life just wasn't normal. It just wasn't what I wanted, or it just wasn't fulfilling. It was just like, this is nuts. Like, I'm always getting in trouble, or I'm always getting, you know, it was just not, it just wasn't the atmosphere I wanted to be in. So I just made myself gone. So I just didn't have to deal with reality. My mom moved here in 2010 is when I had my Claritin moment with God, where I grew up a Christian, but I actually never thought that God healed people. I remember when I was younger, my mom actually went to a Benny Hinn conference and she didn't get healed. And I remember watching Benny Hinn on the television and thinking, these people get paid to act like they're sick and get healed. Like, it just wasn't real to me. It was like, this is so baloney, because my mom's dying and God never touched my mom. And so I grew up resenting God, actually. Anyways, I just remember my mom always crying out to God. We had like a family room in our basement, or not basement, but like, it was like a split level house. And we had a fireplace down there in our family room. And I remember my mom always crying out to God. I don't know what she was saying. I never eavesdropped on her conversation. I thought that was like a personal moment and I probably shouldn't get involved in it. And then I remember she would read her Bible sometimes. We never hung out with anybody. My mom didn't have friends. We never hung out with people. I mean, we hung out with my dad's friends, Lonnie and Lori, for a while. My mom didn't like have girlfriends or like go out like, you know, with girlfriends. So naturally, as an adult, I don't tend to do that because I wasn't raised that way. So it's like easy for me to just be a homebody and stay at home and not really hang out with people, because I never was like shown that growing up. And so it's like I have to put myself out there. My family moved down here and got an apartment, and my mom, I remember one time, thought she got locked out of the house, and she walked over railroad tracks and like through town over to my grandma's house, and the cops actually picked her up. And like, that was just a horrible situation that could have been way worse. But anyways, so that's pretty much it about my mom. I mean, I didn't really grow up with one. I had one, and I know she was a good mom, or she meant well. I just don't, you know, I don't recall a whole lot. And I just know that whenever I had my aha moment with God, I realized that God was for healing today, and it is real today. And I was so ignorant in that fact growing up. I never got told that. I never got taught that. I never saw anybody praying for anybody growing up. I never saw anybody, you know, doing that growing up. Well, I mean, Benny Hinn, but I thought it was just a scam the whole entire time because I didn't see it exampled in my entire life. I prayed for my mom a lot before she even got in the nursing home, just because I didn't want my mom to go to a nursing home, and I didn't want to see it progress with my mom. My mom was always very willing for me to pray. She never asked me to pray for her though. She never was like desperate. She never complained about anything. I remember the nursing home from when I was younger, and I do not like nursing homes. I've had so many dreams where I own a nursing home and there's like scripture going on the intercom, and it's just a totally different atmosphere than what they actually are, because they're very disgusting. And that's my opinion, just being in them a lot in my life. One thing I can say is I never blame God. I know who took my mom out. John 10:10, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. God would not do that. So my mom did pass away, and I prayed for her. I had, you know, big people pray for her. Curry Blake prayed for her. I asked so many people if they had seen Huntington's healed, and Curry Blake saw 8 people with Huntington's healed down to the DNA. And I never gave up on God, and I never lost hope in him. You know, I did lose that fight, but I take responsibility for not having the faith for it. And I do want to see people with Huntington's healed still to this day. I am not gonna slow down. And so I just wanted to put this video out there to kind of set the groundwork for the later videos that we'll be posting. Wednesday, I will be posting my testimony, and sharing that with you guys, and it'll kind of tie these two things together a little bit. But anyways, so that's the story about my mom. That's why my mom died when I was so young. For those of you that, I got lots of messages the other day on that YouTube video I posted. Nobody should ever be without a mom. I think a mom is a very important role when growing up. So I'm definitely not a perfect one, that's for sure. I don't even know what a mom really looks like. The best example I've got is the Bible of what to do with my kids, because I have no idea what I'm doing. If you are new here, welcome, and we hope you stick around for all the upcoming videos that we're going to be sharing with you guys. And if you haven't been told today that you're loved and amazing, well, you're loved and amazing. Much love and many blessings. Till next time, guys.